Hey there, my name is Raj, and if you've come to this video randomly, just know that this video is a part of an entire playlist which has a much more structured approach towards OCD and recovery through natural methods. So make sure you check the entire playlist for better understanding. Cheers.
OCD can kiss my ass.
Alright, everybody. Welcome to the OCD Can Kiss My Ass, and we are now going to be talking about phase 3, which is advanced level stuff when it comes to overcoming fear and OCD and everything like that. Now, this is coming from personal experience that when I overcame OCD, now I've been sort of the experimental type, let's see how this works and that works and everything like that, kind of gifted with that nature. So in that, the majority of the time, everybody, even if they overcome OCD, that one thing is going to be there: what if OCD comes back again? And that's probably the last stage, of any OCD. The last fear that even if you have recovered, that is at the back of everyone's mind. And that, doesn't go. That so how does one overcome that? And how do you firmly believe that you're no longer going to be afraid of any fears in the future? That's the belief that we're going to be talking about in this stage. Once you've graduated phase 1, phase 2, that's when you come to this last phase to overcome even those initial things. So the most easiest approach, and I'll be like kind of honest with you, this is going to be when this was there, what my counselor did was to told me to leave my practices, get OCD back again, and do the practices again, so that I was 100% certain that these practices work and everything like that. I've done that as well, as crazy as it may sound, as a part of the experiments that that I did. But this is an easier approach. You don't have to go through the route that I've gone through. This is a much, much easier approach of how you can diffuse even the fears that might come up in the future, or the fear that OCD might come again. So let's understand this thing. This Witness 2.0, basically, in the previous Witness 1.0, we were observing the body and the sensations in the body, and when we were in a fearful state, we got used to that, and then those fearful sensations stopped making an impact. But again, the origination of everything is happening in the mind and at the thought level. Now, what happens when we generally get a fearful thought? What we do is, no, this can't happen. Okay, either we shrug it and avoid it. No. Or we try to give it reasoning. So we avoid it, we give it reasoning. Or what we do is, so it's like either we are, so regardless of what we are doing with it, we are either avoiding it or we are reasoning with it. We get inside the complication, try to resolve it in our mind that no, this is the reason why it can't happen. So reasoning and avoidance, that's the two things we do to avoid a fear. But what happens in the science internally is that even if we give it reasoning, then also we're giving a particular thought more power and energy. And if we are avoiding it, we're just basically putting it on the carpet. These two methods are not going to work to overcome a fear completely. Might just work temporarily, yes, but at the end of the day, it's still right there. It can pop up. And as we keep doing the same practice again and again, we start avoiding it, and the entire thing, blows up later on what has actually happened during the starting of OCD. So what do we do? What do we do if I can't avoid it, if I can't reason with it? What can I do? So the answer to that is simply observe it. We simply observe it. And what I call this method is the Witness 2.0 method. What I'm saying is witnessing the chain of fearful thoughts. Okay. So how does this system work? Let's just say we have a particular fear. We sit down, okay? I just yeah. So we have. I want to show an example of a chain, like which is connected one to another, and or a train bogies connected one to the other. So that's the kind of analogy that I'm using here. Now, what happens is, let's just assume that we have a particular fear, any fear. Okay, this works in not just OCD type fears, but any fears that one might have. To diffuse. And the objective here is to diffuse the fear. And how do we diffuse the fear? By just observing it. Okay, so how does it happen? Let's just say a thought comes, whatever fearful thought that you have. You don't shrug it. You don't counter it or get inside to resolve it. You start observing it. A thought has come, and you say, and you let it run. You let it run its entire course. I'll give you an example. Oh, this might happen tomorrow. Okay, and then you let it run. And the mind will start its own chain and its own process, thought after thought after thought after thought. Okay, this might happen tomorrow. This might happen tomorrow, right? But you, in this entire process, are not to engage with the entire chain. You're supposed to just observe it and let the entire chain of thoughts run. Even if you, by habit, get to engage with it, come back again and still let it run. Don't go inside and just vanish with it. Just let the entire chain run. Let the entire train go. Okay, so it's going to go from one thought to the other. This is going to happen, right? No. This will happen. The thoughts will ask you questions. The mind will ask you questions. You just don't engage. You don't entertain them. You don't shrug them off. Let them come. No matter how bad they are, no matter how worse that gets, you just let them come. That's what you have to do. And what's going to happen is, when you don't engage, the entire thing runs, and it will go from some thought to some thought that you haven't even imagined how these things are connected. And gradually, when you learn and start practicing this process, you'll understand. Eventually, you'll reach a point, this entire train will pass, and that eventual last point is going to be of something that you hadn't even thought of, what originated the fear in the first place. It could be something that you understand. Oh, this is what my aunt told me when I was 7 years old. Oh, this was my fear when I started business in the first place. Oh, this is coming from this. Oh, this is coming from that. So you'll start, rather than avoiding and objectively seeing what your fear are, which is of course not possible, because fear basically just clouds our mind completely and we're not able to objectively see it. That's why we are able to objectively see someone else's problem, because we are not attached to the fear so much, to their fear so much, but they are. That's why their mind gets clouded. In the same way, we are not able to observe our own fears objectively because we are too associated with them. We get overwhelmed by them. So in this way, once you let that train go, not go with it, and remember, this is going to take practice. It's not something that is, it's a skill that one learns. It's not something that just comes one day. You practice it, and soon you'll be able to practice it, that you don't engage with those thoughts. You let the mind work. You let the mind do its thing. Some thoughts will come, give its own sensations. It'll make you a little scared, a little worried here and there. But since you've already practiced this before, you're used to those things. So you let them go. You let them run. You let them run. And gradually you'll understand that once you let them run, this entire thing, and once you reach a particular place, you'll say, and there's going to be a time in this, you'll realize that the further chain has stopped. But if you don't feel relaxation inside, still keep looking at it. Because once the train runs properly, you'll feel a little bit of clarity inside, and that's when you will know that you've seen the entire train pass. So it's a bit complicated, I know, especially over the internet. It's like very tough to explain somebody this. But if you guys can understand this thing, that from point A to the last point, to the origination where the fear actually started, God knows when you were young, somebody told you, maybe your parents said something, and that instilled, that continued at the back of the mind. Maybe your uncle said something. Whatever that was, it's going to show up. Okay? And with your practices, that's going to stabilize it, that are keeping you grounded. You let them run, you let them run, you let them run, you let them run. And eventually you'll come to a point and you'll like, oh, this is starting from this. And then you understand. And as soon as when you're letting them go, their impact on you, these particular thoughts that you have been avoiding for so many years, they lose their impact. And once they lose their impact, the fear is diffused. And once it is diffused, the entire thing, it'll stop coming because you've seen it. You're not avoiding it. You've been avoiding it. That's why it's been coming again and again and again. Now, when it's diffused, it's lost its power on you. It's not going to come up again because the mind thinks it's now useless. It's been seen. It's been understood. And that's the power of Witness 2.0. And how it says that, how it will help you, because you'll understand that that's it. That's the way to diffuse any kind of fear. So even if tomorrow any kind of OCD fear comes up, I just know how to diffuse it. So with practice, you'll just keep diffusing, and that's it. And that complete confidence in you, not just with one fear, with any fear that you have, even if it is materialistic fears, even if it's external fears, real fears, like, oh, what if there's something wrong with my job tomorrow? That's also a real fear, So once you understand both, you'll have the ability to diffuse real and unreal fears both in a particular way. Okay? And that confidence that will come after this will be so amazing. You'll be like, all right, I'm no longer afraid of even OCD coming back. That fear is also gone. And that will be a very, very, very big win. And if you are able to reach this particular position of understanding, and with your practice and with this method, if you're able to do that, then it's a very small percentage of the world that is capable of doing this. So this is where, is the next level, and this is how you overcome fear in itself. And not just OCD one, just general, Of course, I'm not talking about, you won't have the fear of jumping off a building. Of course, you'll have that, and you should have that. But I'm just talking about the things that are in your control and that are holding you back in your life. The fears that are holding you back in your life. You're stuck onto things because of fears. You're stuck onto many things because of fears are stopping you. You're not making the right decisions because of these heavy emotion capturing you. So once you get free of that, once you start practicing, once this becomes your second nature. I've also mentioned that if you practice this regularly, your fears will actually become fun. As weird it may sound, as obnoxious this might sound right now, this will become your second nature. So even when you're sleeping and in the middle of the night a fear pops up, it'll become your second nature. You'll know how to diffuse it there and then, and it'll be like this. So as obnoxious as it may sound, this is the truth, and this is not just but I've been able to do this for very few people, not all. I'll be honest with you. Very, very few people have understood this particular level. But if you are, it requires courage. It requires a little bit of intellectual understanding what I'm talking about scientifically. And it requires, all right, man, I want to go for it. And I'm cool. And I want to learn. Because this is going to be an asset for the rest of your life. No fear can, hinder you after this. You'll play with them. And that is pure power. If one has that. Materialistic power is not that much. Of course, it has its own gains. But this is like internal power, real confidence. You're no longer afraid of your own thoughts. You're no longer afraid of anything. That's very cool. That's something that's a superpower to have. And of course, some confusions are going to be there. I am always there to help as much as I can, because of course I have my primary duties of my businesses and everything like that. But if you can get here, it's amazing. And I'm going to be talking about the next video, which is the fear of getting negative thoughts again in the future. I think I've pretty much covered here, but let me just see what I have Done. Okay, so we're talking about the next one, next phase. Witness 3.0. My God, can you just imagine if Witness 2.0 is so powerful? What is Witness 3.0? All right, so I will see you in the next video.